welcome back. It's Jen. Today I'm going to be making the best vanilla cake ever, which is a great base for other flavors, so many other flavors you can make. So this is an important one to start with. If you haven't seen my how to bake a cake video, you should watch that first because this video is assuming that you've baked cakes before. Just showing you how to bake this particular cake. So these are the tools you're going to need if you want to take a quick screenshot of this. So I wanted to show you this cake flour because it's not always in smaller grocery stores, and you might have to order it on Amazon ahead of time if you don't have a bigger grocery store near you. Okay, so the first thing is we're going to put all of our dry ingredients in the mixing bowl. We're going to use a paddle attachment. And then we're going to put all of our liquid ingredients in preferably a measuring cup because we're going to be starting by pouring a third of this, and it's easier to measure it, but you don't have to. Mix it. You can just go ahead and mix it in there quick because there's some eggs, so just break up the eggs. So mix up your ingredients just by hand. So the first thing we're going to do is then we're going to do 1.5 sticks of butter, or 6 ounces of butter. And the first thing we do is we're going to mix this butter in with our dry ingredients. Okay, so we're going to mix the butter on the slowest speed, and we're going to put it in little chunks at a time. And I like to put one in, give it time to mix it up a little bit. But basically what you're going to want this to look like when all the butter's in is like coarse sand. Oh, and you're going to want to preferably leave your butter out a little while to get it to soften. Basically, push your finger, you're able to push your finger in like that. If not, you can put it in your microwave at defrost and slowly melt it a little bit so it's soft. Okay, so I'd say that's good enough. So you can see what it looks like. Closer look. Okay. And then we're going to want to add only 1/3 of our liquid ingredients to this mixture. So go ahead and mix it together a little bit. If you really want this to mix together well, you could get all your ingredients to room temperature first, so they just are mixed together better, but it's not totally necessary, so don't stress if you didn't have time to do that. Okay, so we're only going to do 1/3, so I like to use a measuring cup to do this, but you can just eyeball it if you don't have one. So it's about, it's about 15 ounces, so divided by 3 is 5, so 1/3 is 5. So we're going to add about 5 ounces of our wet ingredients to our dry ingredients. And you're just going to want to do this on low speed until just moistened. You don't want to add too much liquid though, so make sure I would go for less than 1/3, more of 1/3. So I'm going to do about 5 ounces. So I'm going to want it to go down to about 10. keep checking. Make sure don't add too much. I like to set the measuring cup down when it gets close because sometimes it's hard to get an accurate reading when it's swishing around. So that's about good. So until just moistened, so that would be this. That is good. Okay, so now we're gonna increase our mixing speed to medium. And you do this for about 2 minutes. You're gonna notice it gets thicker and lighter in color. I usually just set a timer for 2 minutes, but just go ahead and keep an eye on it. So put on medium. I go, it's hard to do medium on mixers because there's really no medium, but I do 4, even though it goes up to 10. I'd rather do it a little less. Okay, our 2 minutes are up. So this is what it should look like. See how it lightened up a lot and also thick. So that's what it looks like. And you can see it's holding up pretty well on my paddle attachment here. So important step now is to scrape the bowl because, the ingredients can get stuck on the side. We do not want that. Looks like it mixed pretty well, but better safe than sorry. Okay, so now we are going to slowly add the rest of our ingredients, again at medium speed, and just mix it until it's mixed together. So put on 4 again. You have to do it slowly so the mixture doesn't jump out at you. Stop it here and just scrape the bowl again just to be safe. So this is the consistency. It will slide off your spatula, but at a slow speed. Kind of like yogurt, I guess. Okay, so that's done. So now we're gonna spoon it into our pan. Okay, so I am gonna use 2 6-inch pans, even though this recipe makes 2 8-inch pans of cake. Just because I need a cake I need to make a 6-inch cake. So that's the only reason why I'm doing that. So this is cake goop. If you do not use this, I highly recommend switching to this. I've never had a problem releasing my cakes from the pan if I use this cake goop. So basically it is equal parts vegetable oil, vegetable shortening, and flour. Has yet to let me down. If you want better instructions how to make that, I would go to my cake goop video, how to make cake goop, but it's pretty simple. And I just use a pastry brush and put in here. So I'm using two different I like to put it on pretty thick, but not too thick, because you don't want to get like that wet, gross mixture. You don't want to get that wet cake, but I do like it to be a little bit of a different texture. So this is what that looks like. And I'm using two different cake pans. This one is Magic Line. This one's Fat Daddy-O's. And you can watch my video on the difference between each cake pan. But basically they're both really good. So you're going to want to fill these halfway full. Because they're going to rise. So if you just tap them, it'll help even out the batter. I also like to do this. I don't know. It just works faster. Go ahead and put these in the oven. So I do, for 8-inch pans or smaller, I start out at 20 minutes and then I check it after that. And then determine how much more to go. Okay guys, so I took these out of the oven. And let's check they're ready. They look ready. Yep, just a couple crumbs. They're ready to go. Okay, so they're slightly domed up, so I'm going to just put a towel over them and press them down a little bit just to make my life a little bit easier when I layer them. That will not change the taste. And we're going to let this cool for 10 minutes before we flip them out. Okay, time to take them out. Now, this cake goop is awesome, but you know, if you want to be extra careful, you can just run a spatula on the outside, because if your cake is batter is undermixed, you could have a crumbly cake on your hands, and this could cause a little bit of problems when you're releasing it from your cake pan. Okay, so let's flip these out. Okay, so after you flip these out, you are going to let them cool to room temperature before you wrap them in plastic wrap and then put them in a freezer bag. Make sure it is a freezer bag because we're going to freeze these, because freezing cakes actually makes them more moist. And also, you don't want to refrigerate cakes. They will dry them out. Until they have a crumb coat on, you should not refrigerate them. These can last up to 2 months in the freezer, so if you want to make them way ahead of time, that's totally fine. And I actually frost my cakes frozen. It's much easier that way. So you can go ahead and leave them in the freezer until you're ready to frost them. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and can't wait to see you next time.